this congressional law against a registry of firearms?
The National Firearms Act provides for a different registry, has since 1934. Something like 50 Congresses have sat between now and then and have not changed that.
Well, let me just clarify. You've swept millions of firearms into that registry without an act of Congress, and my time has expired. I recognize Ms. Dean from Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I, too, want to acknowledge all of the advocates who are here today. I know I see Moms Demand in great numbers. Thank you for your extraordinary patience and tenacity and work. We will get this done. It's just a question of when and how many lives will it take in the meantime. I think we also have students' demand. I think we even have a survivor of gun violence. We have Brady, we have Everytown, we might have 97%. To all of the advocates, even if you're not a part of one of these groups, I thank you. I think every American citizen is a mom's demand, is a dad's demand, is a student's demand. That's who we are. My constituents are talking to me and demanding that we do better, that we do more, that the price of the Second Amendment is not lives. We have to prize life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as much as some prize guns. So to the survivor today, thank you for being with us. Thank you for your strength. I met with students this week. I have a advisory committee of high school students. I meet with them quarterly. And I have been thinking about them as I've sat through this absurd hearing, a hearing where the director of ATF and the incredible men and women who are involved in the work of ATF, law enforcement work to keep us safer, are being attacked. When I met with the students this week, it was one of my worst meetings with them. They were notably down. They were worried for their future. Their number one worry, gun violence. Number one worry. They said they didn't have real hope. They're tired of training for active shooter drills, and I'm a grandmother of 4. I'm very upset to think any day of the week my granddaughter, 11 years old, is doing active shooter drills. So I sit here thinking this is a nightmarish hearing. It is Orwellian. Do the folks on the other side of the aisle see the worries of our students, the nightmarish upside-down version of a hearing that we are having today, attacking the very people who are trying to keep us safe? The folks on the other side who spent the last election cycle saying Democrats want to defund the police, while they actively say they would like to eliminate ATF, actively said would like to defund ATF. What my students talked to me about was their worry over their own safety, their own lives, their own mental health. What they talked to me about was attacks on rights, whether it's trans rights or women's rights. You know what they didn't mention to me? Regulation of stabilizer braces. That was not on their agenda. It wouldn't have made their top 100. In fact, it would not have made their list at all. We could learn a lot from those kids. And I will continue to listen to them and promise them that along with your help and your extraordinary leadership, we will get this done. So let's go to the actual work that you do. Could you tell me about the work that ATF does? I know you spoke a little bit about the tracing of guns, which is crime guns, which is so critically important. What does ATF crime gun tracing work look like? Could you describe it to us
Sure.
in a little way?
So when a crime happens and a local police department, usually it's local because they have most of the cases, opens a case and they associate a particular firearm with a crime. It's found at the scene or what have you. They then submit a request to ATF to trace that firearm. Now, ATF we don't have a national gun registry by law, so what we can do is we can trace the firearm to its first retail sale that we know of. That's usually what happens. And we don't have that record, so we get the request in, and if it's a firearms dealer that is still in business, we reach out to them and we say, we don't have the record. We say, can you tell us who purchased this firearm? Pull the 4473 and tell us. Then we can relay that information back to the local police departments. They're often conducting very time-sensitive investigations, and they can follow that lead. If it's a firearms dealer that's out of business, they send their out-of-business records to ATF. They have to be stored in a certain format under the law that Congress has passed. We are, I think, the only customer of Adobe Acrobat. We pay extra money to remove search function from that so that we can then try our best to trace it as quickly as we can and get that same information back to that homicide detective, that gang detective, that narcotics detective who's working the case.
The gentleman's time is expired.
I just want to ask
Fitzgerald is
one
recognized for
question.
5 minutes.
If you would send to us information
The gentleman's
on
time has expired.
the implications of the Safer Communities Act. Anything you're learning, please send it along to us. Thank you. I yield.
Mr. Fitzgerald.